and he decided that he wanted to go out with Dorothy. Did you know that?
No, I don't think so.
Can you believe, is that the lowest of the low? When she told me that, I was absolutely horrified. I just couldn't believe that. And she said, I said, were you not mad at Dorothy? No, I wasn't mad at Dorothy at all. It wasn't her fault. I said, well, were you mad at Dad? Well, no, I didn't want him and he didn't want me. No. I love that attitude. And so she wrote him a letter and said, that's fine. You know, that's fine. Go ahead. But I do need one more ride. I need a ride to Springfield. And she signed it, a friend. And so I guess that kind of bothered him a lot. And so he never did go out with her. But life could have been very different for you and me.
We might have been more related than we are now.
Exactly. We could have been sisters or switched or something. I don't know.
Switched at birth. Who knows?
I just think that took so much nerve on my dad's part to want to go out with her sister when they were just, you know, I mean, it shows that they were a lot alike, you know. But, oh, my man.
I remember Lewis told me about your mom, and whenever he saw her, I guess he just slopped his dripper. I mean, that guy just absolutely, he fell head over heels in love with her, and she just wasn't going to be able to date him because he wasn't saved.
Oh,
And she just wasn't going to be able to do it, and she thought he was a nice enough fella and a nice enough looking fella and all of the right things, but he wasn't saved, and she wasn't going to have a husband that wasn't saved. And I'll tell you what, he said they were out somewhere, and she just told him, she said, I can't, you know, I can't be a part of this because I love the Lord, and I cannot be married to anybody that's not saved. And I mean, he got on his knees on their date, and he met the Lord right there. Yes.
Yeah, she said she got down on her knees and started praying for him. You know?
Is that the way it was?
I think so.
Yeah.
And he got saved.
And he was saved right there on the spot.
Said she told Grandma before this, she told Grandma that, she says, oh, I really like him, but he's not a Christian. And she said, Grandma said, well, you know, he can be.
Yeah.
He can be. You know?
Yeah, and that's easy enough.
They said Mama got down on her knees and was praying for him, and Daddy got saved.
That shows he was quite a man, because that would have scared a lot of men.
Oh, yeah.
Right off.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I don't think he was old enough to be a man yet, was he? Weren't they just teenagers?
Oh,
Just
no,
like teenagers?
no. Daddy, Mama was 19 and Daddy was 21 when
Oh,
they got
okay,
married.
so he's a little older than I thought. I was thinking he was maybe like 18 or something.
Now, my grandparents were real young.
Yeah.
Daddy's parents were real young. They were like 16 and 17 when they got married.
One thing I remember about Lewis, you know, we didn't live back here, so we missed out on a lot of things you all were talking about. But there's one thing I remember about Lewis. He always acted like he was crazy about Dorothy. He
was.
But he acted like
Yes,
it.
he did.
You know, a lot of men
Just crazy.
a lot of men, you know, just don't act that way out in public, but he did. And you'd be sitting around talking, and you could look at Lewis, and he'd be looking at Dorothy, just with those big puppy dog eyes, you know. And I often wondered if she realized how much he loved her, because it was just so obvious. But that's one thing good that I remember about Lewis.
How much longer did he live after she passed?
Mama died in March and he died in June.
That's what I thought. He didn't live very long.
But
The
they
thing
were
that
married
hurt
for-
Daddy the most was that Mama didn't know him.
Yes.
Part of the time when she got, you know, she'd say to us girls, well, where's Daddy? And he'd be sitting right across in the rocking chair.
Was
That
they married
just like
73
almost
years?
killed Daddy.
Yeah.
73 years they were married, yeah.
And how long was she unaware?
Well, I don't really remember, but you know, her mind failed when she had that hemorrhage, and she lived about 12 years after that. 12 years. But she knew Daddy a lot of that time, but as it progressed, you know, that she
And didn't you have that whenever she, at her services, there was a video of her singing?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And that was after that, though, wasn't it? When that was after. Yeah,
oh, my goodness, yes. That wasn't too long before she passed away.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. She still just sang.
Oh, she remembered those old songs. You wouldn't believe how she could sing them. She knew them better than I did. I stayed with her one night while Daddy went to Austin's graduation when he graduated from high school. That's Patsy's grandchild. And he wanted to go because they were so crazy about him. And so I said, well, I'll come and stay with Mama. So I did, and she was just really nervous because Daddy wasn't there. So I thought, well, what am I going to do, you know? So I went in the living room and got an old hymn book and started singing songs. And it was just like we had a revival. You know, Mama loved those old songs, and she just sung and sung and sung. You know, and it was just wonderful. She was so happy then because we were singing those old songs.
And you know what you said, Jenny, I think Dorothy knew that Louis loved her that much.
Oh, she did, and she loved him, but she could tell him off too. You know, Daddy was the type that if something was bothering him, he wouldn't talk.
Yeah.
He'd just sit.
Yeah.
And he would do that for about a week. And Mama would get so upset about it. And so one day she said, well, what are you mad about? He said, well, he didn't know. And she said, well, if you're not mad, don't act like it.
There you go. Yeah. That's big thought.
I tell you what, those Davison women, you can say what you want, but there's some wise women in that Davison.
Yeah, but they could tell you off too.
They could, but they put up with quite a lot before they tell you off.
Oh, they did. Oh, sure. Mama was just as good as she could be to
Yep.
Daddy. I mean, she just bent over backwards.
And they put up with a lot of bad things in their life, you know, all of them. They put up with a lot of bad
about
stuff.
you and Dana when you were just little, like your little girls are. I don't think it's either one they got to go to school. But we went to see you one time, and you had learned a new song. And after all the church and everything else that you went to, your very favorite was the one they sang for some beer commercial.
You're a little bit of rebel there. Yeah, we got to take a picture for people leave, okay? It's good.